Welcome back, you guys. I am so late with this discussion, but here I am. So, even though I haven't seen it on Paramount Plus, the internet, social media is saying that this was the season finale, which I think it's a great the way it ended. Tiffany stayed slow until the very end. Someone on Twitter was saying that Tiffany's main line was "What's going on?" It was so irritating to see someone who, because she talks very intelligently, um, very poised, very classy, and it's like you don't have a clue. Like nothing came through your mind that Geneva didn't start cutting up and acting a fool until you start dating Javon, and you actually believe Javon when he says that Geneva is jealous of you because you have a boyfriend. That doesn't even make any sense unless Geneva was messing with him, right? So until the end of this episode, she was slow. What did I do? What happened? So anyway, we're going to get to that. So we leave off from Geneva stabbing William in the chest after she threw 3 vases at him and smacked him like 4 times. He hit her back once and she stabs him. Now she leaves. Keep in mind, Anika is upstairs in her room asleep. So she gets to the church to talk to Rashida and Bridget, and someone mentions Anika, and she's like, "Oh my God!" Like she's so self-absorbed. She didn't even think about getting her daughter. So your daughter is gonna wake up and see her daddy possibly dead on the floor. We don't know if he's dead, but her daddy's laying on the floor unconscious in a puddle of blood. That's traumatizing enough. If you cared about your daughter, first of all, if you cared about your daughter, you wouldn't have been doing all that cutting up and carrying on anyway in the house. I don't care how mad you are. But we'll put that to the side. After you stabbed William, you could at least got your daughter out of there. But anyway, someone else had to remind her that Nika was still there. So she's on her way there. Everyone meets up at Geneva's because William he's injured. He's been attacked. So is Pastor Jeff. Anika does end up seeing him on the floor, and I forgot who took her. I think the maid. The maid took her. Not the maid, but I don't want to call her the maid, but the nanny. But anyway, so when they're all there, the EMT and someone brought this to my attention. I wasn't even paying attention until I was on Twitter. But the EMT was like, "This is a homicide investigation." And someone was like, "When does EMT act like detectives?" And then how is it a homicide investigation? Y'all don't know he's dead? Unless I don't know how homicide investigations work. I thought there had to be a proven homicide. That's what I thought. So anybody let me know if I'm wrong on that. So Hakeem calls Naomi to meet, and she's still kind of like, I had a feeling she wasn't going to pay this dude. But anyway, she's dragging it on. She finally tells him to meet her at this little diner. And he's like, "So what's my money?" And she's like, she's basically avoiding questions. And this scene is funny because I can tell. This is why I feel like Franklin's still alive, and I feel like Franklin and Hakeem are working with the police to set up Naomi because he's showing her pictures of Franklin dead supposedly. So she hops up. "Oh my God, are you that in love with me that you would do this?" So I'm thinking she feels like he's wired. right? They're both trying to set each other up. It was kind of funny. But she runs out the diner surrounded by cops, like 4 or 5 squad cars. Excuse me. And so I'm thinking next season we will find out about the setup between Franklin and Hakeem and the police. And if Naomi is going to go to prison, because, even if you don't kill somebody, if you don't do the killing yourself, if you hire a hitman, that's still considered, it's considered attempted murder, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So one of the scenes that I liked, I feel like LaToya Luckett's a really good actress. That's not her first thing. I think her first thing was singing, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but she's pretty good. So she talks to Javon in the hallway of the hospital because at this point they've gone to the hospital. William's getting worked on. And I wrote here on my notes, they started throwing Bible quotes at each other. And she was like, I hate the devil. He seeks a vessel to create chaos and confusion. Here's the thing. Even though that sounds, cool and everything, what is Geneva? Because just like multiple things can be true at the same time. He's wrong for messing with Tiffany knowing that that's Geneva's friend, but Geneva is wrong for stepping out on her marriage. It's not like she was getting abused by William that we know of. He's pretty good guy. She wasn't unhappy in the marriage. She wasn't being neglected in the marriage. She just fell for this smooth talking guy, cheated on her husband, had unprotected raw sex, and got pregnant by another man beside her husband. So, if Javon's the devil's, so is Geneva. I'm just saying. And so he put out his, he was like, well, don't judge or else you'll be judged. And then she was like, yes, the devil knows the scripture and all this stuff. And I forgot what she said, but he finally got mad. He was like, you think you're so effing better than me or something like that, he said. She was like, yes, that's it. Come on now. Come on now. Now, this part was funny. He said, you riding around here with your $1 million cars and you just living off the backs of poor people. And she said, first of all, it's a $600,000 car. The other one is $100,000. And my great grandfather was a steel, what did she say? A oil tycoon. So basically, she has that old money. And she said that's generational wealth. You probably haven't heard of that because most black folk don't have it, which is true. I'm gonna come back to the show, but that's true. If you think about it, a lot of this old money, black people in general we don't have generations and generations of old money. And you know why. Slavery has only been abolished for 150 something years. That's really not a whole lot of time versus someone who's had, you know what I'm saying, centuries to do that versus, you get what I'm saying? So it is a flex to be a black person and to be able to say my great grandfather was a millionaire. That is a flex, like straight up, especially for someone her age, like she's in her 40s. So that would mean her parents would most likely probably be 60s, grandparents most likely be 80s, and great grandparents who are deceased be 100. So you're talking about a black millionaire during Jim Crow. So yeah, that's something to brag about. But it was just funny when she was like, first of all, it's a $600,000 car. Girl, that's still a lot. These people's houses don't cost that much. I didn't know they had it like that. But then again, The type of car you see Pastor Jeff driving, the house they live in, yes, somebody got money. Um, I'm not going to necessarily go in order. I'm just going off of like the highlights of the episode. So Javon and Geneva, the villain, she's like the worst character on the show. Just terrible. They're having a talk, and she said he hit me first. I'm like, see, if she's lying about that, what else does she lie about? If you're lying about someone hitting you first, knowing damn well you busted their ass in the head with 3 vases and then slapped them 3 or 4 times, so that lets me know she's a liar, like a bona fide liar. Like she lies about everything. So anyway, to gain sympathy, I feel like. So she's telling Javon he hit me first. She shows her bruise where Javon hit her, whatever. And they start kissing. Now, Geneva was smooth, not Geneva, Rashida was smooth for this because she knew that Javon and Geneva were off in the hallway. So she asked with Jeff, she's like, can you go and get me some coffee? Right? I didn't get it until I watched it a second time, and I was like, oh, okay. She wanted Javon to maybe catch Geneva and Javon. I mean, she wanted Jeff. That's what I said, right? She wanted Jeff to catch Geneva and Javon. That's why she sent him to get that coffee. I said, that's smooth. Because she said she wanted to be able to keep her word to Geneva by not spilling the beans, so she sent Javon to do it. So of course, in true fashion, Javon turns the corner, and he sees Geneva and Javon kissing. And he clears his throat to let them know, yes, I saw you. So he went back to Rashida. Is that what you were trying to do? You didn't want to tell me? And so they were like, he didn't waste no time. When they came back, Javon was like, is there something you want to tell Tiffany? Now, this is the part that pissed me off really bad. Geneva was like, this is your fault. And Tiffany's like, in her clueless, slow fashion, my fault? What did I do? Here you go, Geneva. If you would have stopped when I told you to stop, none of this would have happened. Now, Tiffany, at that point, you should know something was going on. Javon shouldn't have had to even tell you that he saw them kissing. Why else would she be that mad? Girl, come on. Tiffany, again, as I stated before, you're probably the most poised, well-spoken friend in the friend group, making all this money selling houses. You know, it does take smarts to be a good salesperson. But you really couldn't understand why Geneva was so mad? Come on, man. So after Javon says, I saw him kissing her, after Jeff, y'all forgive me, please, these J names. So Javon's sitting there like, oh, so you really want to go there? And he was like, what about, what's the names? Brenda and Anya. And of course, Rashida was like, what is he talking about? And Jeff was like, he lying. I do feel like he's lying. I feel like he was just throwing some names out there. And if Brenda and Anya are real people, I really don't feel like Pastor Jeff was messing with them. Maybe it was some flirtation. Maybe the women wanted him, but I just don't think Pastor Jeff was cheating on her. I think Javon just threw that out there to keep his cool, keep the heat off of him. Plus, like someone mentioned before, when I was looking online, looking at different people's opinion, talks and reviews and stuff. Javon just came back into town. So how would you know about what Pastor Jeff is doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, girl, this is one part that was funny to me when Jeff was talking to Javon, and Rashida was like, "Stop, just stop it." Pastor Jeff was like, "I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to him." And then Rashida turned, had this look on her face like, "Oh, excuse me." But you know what? I love how Pastor Jeff is. He's he's stern, he's respectful and assertive without doing the whole macho, I'm the man, you're the woman, you bow down to me. Like, you see how he just calmly was like, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to him. You know, um, I think a lot of guys don't know how to have that head of household. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? Not feeling, but basically, I think a lot of guys feel like in order to prove they're the man of the house, or they're the man of the relationship, they have to be like domineering or something. Whereas Pastor Jeff, he's very gentle, but at the same time, don't mess with him. And when he is put to the test, he will show you. Like when he's told Franklin, he said, "Look, I can be a motherfucker too." When they were in that hospital room, because Franklin was talking shit about Rashida, or when he went to that out to the hood or whatever, looking for his son, and he had to talk to them wannabe thugs. So he's definitely a good example of, look, you can be the alpha male without feeling like you need to like lord over your woman. You see what I'm saying? So yes, I love Pastor Jeff's character for that. Now, I want to do some predictions of next season. I think, like I've said about 10 times, Franklin's not dead. I don't feel like William is going to die. I just think that would be stupid to take one of the best actors off the show. You know, Ron Rico Lee, I hope that's how you say his first name. He's been acting for a while, like over 20 years. Um, so he's a veteran in the acting game. So it just wouldn't be smart to take him off the show. So I feel like he's going to be probably in a coma for an episode or two, something like that. I feel like Franklin's going to come up some kind of way. Naomi's definitely going to jail, but for how long or for what charges, I do not know. I feel like Tiffany is either going to beat the crap out of Javon for playing in her face like that, or she's going to, and slash, or she's going to distance herself from the friend group because Rashida knew this all along. Bridget didn't, and Naomi didn't, but Rashida is considered, well, not considered, but Rashida's her friend. I think something's going to happen where something's going to her plot, her storyline. I feel like is going to be. I think this is going to be the start of the villain origin story, as they say. I think Tiffany's going to come back kicking some ass next season. Um, I think we're going to find out who Brenda and Anya are. Like I said, I feel like Javon is lying. I do think Geneva and Javon need to be together because they're both low down. She's a liar. Um, they're both cheaters. He's a manipulator. Y'all just be trifling as hell together and call it a day. Who else is on the list? Bridget, I feel like outside of that dude, she doesn't have too much going on, if you think about it. And Let's see, who else? We got Naomi, you got Brie. I think that pretty much covers it. Um, and them annoying ass kids of Pastor Jeff, ugh. They really don't need to have a storyline. They need to kind of just play the background. You know what I'm saying? Now, someone who I do want to see more of just because I like her personality, her quirkiness, Myron's wife. I want to see more of Myron's wife next season. I want her to kind of be like Pastor Jeff's kids where we see them every other episode, you know. Not at, I know she's not in the main cast, but I do want to see more of her. I want to know some more about her and Myron's marriage because she seems to be so into him. She says he treats her well. The man is obviously on the DL or in the closet, one of the two, and he doesn't really act that interested in her, not in front of people anyway. So yeah, I want to see. I want to see what goes on with them. But listen, let me know what you think about this season finale, man. Um, you know how Tyler does it. We might get season 2 in September. You know, they don't do it like back in the day where you get one season a year. So we'll see. But anyways, shout out to my subbies. Shout out to the rest of you who are not subscribed, but you know you can hit that button for me. My goal is to reach 1,000 subbies by the end of this year. Let's see if we can make that happen, all right? Peace and blessings to every last one of you watching. Until next time.